a marriage for her to consolidate her position within the company. As my colleagues chattered away, I found myself distracted by thoughts of my own marital situation. "Let's go ahead and get a divorce," my husband Carter suddenly declared one evening. He claimed that since I'd stopped doing my household chores, I was no longer needed. He wore a sly smile as he revealed his plans to take over his mistress's company. His words stung, yet I could only nod in stunned silence. His cruel intention seemed to be to add insult to injury. "Fine," I replied, pulling out the divorce papers from a drawer. "Here are the divorce papers. Now I can finally be free from you. My name is Luna, a 42-year-old account manager. Carter and I have no children. We both work in office jobs but at different companies, which means we only see each other in the mornings and evenings. One of the ongoing frustrations in our marriage has been Carter's complete disregard for helping with the housework. Despite my repeated requests, he always excuses himself by saying he has never done it before and conveniently shifts all the responsibility onto me. What makes it even more infuriating is his sarcasm every time I manage to accomplish something on my own. I had been loyal to Carter since our marriage, but his dismissive attitude had recently chilled my feelings towards him. Though I had never considered divorce seriously, as there seemed to be no compelling reason strong enough to pursue it, the dynamics of our relationship had grown increasingly strained over our decade-long marriage. Recently, Carter's behavior had become particularly irritable. His sarcasm escalated, and I grew tired of his constant jabs. I resolved to discover the reason behind his sudden change in demeanor. On a day I had planned to leave for work earlier than usual, I informed him of my schedule. In response, he scoffed and mocked my efficiency, questioning my competence with a derisive laugh. Although it was challenging, I contained my frustration that morning and sharply told him I was leaving, to which he offered no reply. During a lunch break at work, while dining with some friendly colleagues, the conversation turned to company gossip. The topic was the impending marriage of the CEO's daughter, Maya, a 32-year-old woman viewed as her father's successor. Despite her position, she hadn't made any significant accomplishments, and the company executives held a rather low opinion of her. Her father was now attempting to secure a marital alliance to bolster her status within the company. As my colleagues excitedly discussed the news, I couldn't help but reflect on my own crumbling marriage and the freedom that might soon be within my grasp. During lunch with my colleagues, the conversation shifted towards Maya, the CEO's daughter. Rumors swirled around her personal life, particularly about her boyfriend who was suspected of having a secret family. My colleagues, shocked by the gossip, speculated on the truth of the matter, laughing off the possibility as Maya had denied such claims. I couldn't help but consider the potential truth behind the rumors. That evening, as I left work to prepare dinner before my husband, Carter, arrived home, I encountered an unexpected sight at the train station. There was Carter, unexpectedly early, and to my astonishment, he was with a young woman. My heart skipped a beat when I recognized her as Maya. They seemed unusually close, almost intimate, which confused and stunned me. Driven by a mix of curiosity and disbelief, I followed them discreetly to a fancy restaurant popular among couples. The scene felt surreal as I watched them enter, looking very much like a date. Overwhelmed, I managed to snap a photo of them together on my phone. As I stood there, lost in my thoughts, I received a message from Carter stating he would be dining with a colleague and didn't need dinner at home. The lie was apparent, and it sparked a deep suspicion of infidelity in me. A few days later, on a holiday, Carter was unusually quick to leave the house in the morning. When I inquired about his plans, he claimed he was going to play golf with a colleague. However, his evasive eyes gave away his lie. It was startling how obvious his discomfort was, making me wonder how I had never noticed such signs before. Was it possible that I had become so disinterested in him that these things had escaped my notice? This thought left me feeling empty. Carter hurried out, seemingly eager to escape our conversation. Later, as I was about to finish preparing dinner, another message from him arrived. He informed me he'd be late and to eat without him. The pattern was clear, he was likely meeting his mistress again. My frustration turned to fury, marking a significant turning point in how I viewed our marriage and my trust in Carter. I responded to my husband with a simple understood when he messaged me about coming home late. Although I was deeply troubled by his behavior, I chose not to confront him immediately, thinking it best not to arouse his suspicions. Instead, I maintained my composure, continuing with my daily routine as if everything were normal. That night, when Carter returned home, he did so with a sly grin. "Did you enjoy your day?" "I heard some interesting news," I commented casually. He dismissed my inquiry with a breezy, "That's none of your business," as he handed me his things before heading to the bathroom with only his phone. "Should I hold on to your phone as well?" I offered lightly, but he quickly declined. "I have to check my emails, even on my days off." "Unlike you, I have responsibilities at work," he called out from the bathroom. His words sounded insincere to me. It seemed unlikely that he was dealing with work-related matters on a holiday. More probably, he wanted to keep in touch with his mistress without my interference. This realization made my feelings for him grow colder than ever. Over the next month, my suspicions were confirmed as Carter continued his clandestine meetings. I gathered significant evidence of his infidelity but struggled with deciding the right moment for confrontation. Then, out of the blue, Carter announced, "I'm quitting my job." This news caught me off guard, especially since he hadn't discussed such a major decision with me beforehand. When I asked if he would be starting a new job soon, he looked at me with annoyance. "Unlike you, I'm competent. I'm quitting because I was headhunted, not that it will improve our lifestyle much," he retorted arrogantly and turned his attention back to his phone. It was clear he was hiding something. "I see. When are you quitting?" I inquired, keeping my tone neutral. "I've already submitted my resignation. Starting tomorrow, I'll be joining a new company," he replied nonchalantly and left for his new job the next day. Since changing jobs, Carter's demeanor became unusually cheerful. I attempted to ask him about his new company several times, but he brushed off my questions. "Stop nagging. Like you, I'm tired. Be more considerate," he would snap, pushing me away. Driven by curiosity, I secretly checked his documents and was shocked to discover he had joined the same company as me. I considered confronting him about this startling revelation, but I restrained myself, thinking this information might be useful later. The next day, in a surprising turn of events, Carter, who typically left home early, returned at noon. Before I could even greet him, he approached me hastily. "I beg you, please divorce me," he blurted out. His request stunned me, and as I processed his words, he gave a wide, enigmatic grin. I was left wondering what had prompted this sudden plea. Carter appeared almost jubilant, mistakenly assuming his news had unsettled me. With a brazen air, he announced, "I'm taking over my mistress's father's company, so I don't need you anymore." The revelation that Carter was about to become a CEO left me momentarily speechless, my surprise rendering me mute as he continued with a smug smile. "Actually, I met a young woman at a bar and things moved quickly. She introduced me to her father, who just happens to be the CEO of a well-known company," he boasted, clearly thrilled with himself. Her father took a liking to me and offered me the chance to take over his business. How could I pass up such an opportunity? His voice was charged with excitement, as if he were recounting some grand adventure. His total disregard for my feelings only fueled my anger, but he seemed oblivious, grinning without pause. "Tomorrow, the CEO will introduce me as the new CEO at the company meeting. I'm so relieved to finally be able to break away from a woman who is merely aging," he taunted. "And just so you know, I won't take no for an answer on the divorce. If you resist, I'll hire a lawyer and sue you." His audacity to threaten me, despite his infidelity, left me stunned and repulsed by his selfishness. Yet, this could be a strategic moment, I realized, barely concealing a smirk. "Sure, here are the divorce papers," I said, pulling them from a drawer, my name already filled out, catching him off guard. "Why the hell did you prepare these? Are you really okay with this?" Carter stammered, confusion replacing his earlier confidence. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice your affair?" I challenged, tossing a few photos on the divorce papers as proof. While he was out with his mistress, I had hired a detective agency to gather evidence. "I have all the evidence. You can pursue your CEO dreams, But I'll ensure we have a fair division of property, I stated firmly. Carter's face fell open in shock, but soon enough, he regained his usual smirk. Oh, really? That actually saves us more time. I can afford alimony. After all, I'm going to be a CEO. His smugness was palpable, but I knew this fade of confidence would not last long. This conversation marked the beginning of my plan. I wasn't going to settle for just a division of property. The stress accumulated over more than a decade demanded a more substantial resolution. My next steps were clear, and I was determined to pursue them meticulously. Carter, clearly caught up in his new life prospects, arrogantly remarked about our house. Since I'm becoming a CEO and will be taken in as a son-in-law, I'll be enjoying luxuries you could never dream of. I guess you won't need this house then? I'll just sell it. His dismissive yeah to my cold affirmation that the house could be sold barely masked his disdain. He continued, even though I'm going to be a CEO and live happily with a younger wife, you might get your share from the property division, but you're destined to live alone. How pathetic. Don't bother trying to find a partner, okay? An old woman like you won't be anyone's choice. It'll only make you a laughingstock. Well, have a good life. His words meant to wound no longer touched me. Don't think this will end so easily, I responded calmly, my tone hiding the firm resolve beneath. Carter laughed loudly, mistaking my determination for frustration. That day, I packed up and moved out by the evening. Carter, in a rush to start his new life, packed his car and headed off to his mistress's place. With the house sold, I used the proceeds to secure the apartment I had been eyeing. A few days later, I attended an important executive meeting. The CEO was set to announce his successor. As I set up the equipment, I offered my laptop to the senior colleagues, explaining, please use mine. I prepared today's documents so everything is organized. With the stage set, the CEO began the meeting, introducing the successor candidate. As I mentioned earlier, I've brought our successor candidate with me today. I believe you all know him, but let me reintroduce him. As Carter walked in with a confident grin, accompanied by an elegantly smiling Maya, the room seemed to welcome them. However, his smile faltered when he noticed me operating the computer. Huh? He exclaimed in surprise. What's wrong? Maya asked. It's nothing, he quickly recovered. Then turning to me, he said, could you display his information, please? Smiling inwardly, I obliged, switching the display to show the incriminating evidence of Carter's infidelity. This had been my plan all along. Even if Carter focused solely on the financial aspects of our divorce, he needed a reality check about his actions and behavior. I wanted to expose him in a setting where he couldn't escape the consequences, ensuring that he and everyone else understood the full extent of his deceit and betrayal. The atmosphere in the conference room shifted dramatically as I unveiled the truth about my husband's misconduct. Both he and the CEO were visibly shaken, their faces flushing with embarrassment as they glanced at the screen displaying the evidence of his infidelity. Is there something wrong? This is his information. I thought it might be helpful for everyone to see this. Oh, by the way, I'm his ex-wife, I explained with a calm demeanor, causing further astonishment. I was quite surprised when he abruptly brought up divorce yesterday, especially since he was so thrilled about becoming the CEO. As I spoke, my ex-husband frantically approached me, his hand raised in a threatening manner. I braced myself, clenching my teeth, prepared for whatever might come, but a security officer swiftly restrained him. What is going on here? The CEO demanded, his tone low and demanding. Don't say anything unnecessary, my ex-husband hissed, glaring at me as he struggled against the security officer's grip. Unnecessary? Like how you cheated on me with Maya? I retorted, maintaining my composure. Upon hearing this, my husband's face lost even more color. The room fell silent. The CEO, Maya, and all the executives present turned their attention towards him, their breath held in anticipation. That's not true. She's just trying to sabotage the meeting, my husband stammered, attempting to deny the allegations as he struggled to turn off the computer. Quickly, I switched the screen to display a photo of him at the train station, acting intimately with Maya. After seeing this, I began to investigate my ex-husband and discovered he was unfaithful. I've endured his sarcastic remarks for over 8 years, but his affair was the last straw for me, I explained calmly, while Maya looked increasingly agitated and confronted my husband. You told me you were single. It appeared Maya was unaware of my existence. The CEO, infuriated, turned to my husband. What the hell is this? He barked, causing my husband to shrink back in fear. When did you start seeing each other? He demanded. A year ago. I met him at a pub I was taken to by a friend. I had no idea he had a wife, Maya replied, her voice trembling. I watched as Carter became visibly uncomfortable, his eyes darting around, seeking an escape. The CEO stepped closer, his voice stern. Good thing I found out before I declared you as my successor. You know what's going to happen now, don't you? Wait a minute, you can't mean I can't have a man who lied about being single and deceived my daughter as the CEO? The CEO interrupted. Hearing this, Carter collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by the weight of his deceit. I felt a pang of sympathy for Maya, who stood silently, shocked by the revelation. I can't believe you were that kind of person. Let's discuss the engagement in a proper place. And don't you dare think that you can stay in this company after doing this, the CEO declared sternly, directing Carter and Maya to leave the room. Carter attempted to speak, but one stern look from the CEO silenced him, and he stumbled out, his career and personal life in ruins. As I exited the conference room, a sense of renewal washed over me. Witnessing the unraveling of events left a poignant mark on my memory. Despite feeling a pang of regret for disrupting an important meeting, I couldn't allow Carter to escape accountability for his actions. I apologize for the disruption today, and I will be resigning to take responsibility for the disturbance, I declared firmly. The CEO, with a mix of bitterness and understanding, nodded and gestured for me to leave. Leaving the job was bittersweet. I cherished my time there, but standing up for what I believed in left me with no regrets. As I walked away, Carter, pale and desperate, tried to confront me. Don't think you can get away with this, he warned, his voice trembling. I coolly reminded him of his precarious situation. Shouldn't you be more worried about your job and your living situation now? Carter's circumstances quickly deteriorated. The repercussions of the meeting led to his engagement being called off, and the CEO hinted at his imminent dismissal. Desperate, he pleaded with me for help, citing his lack of savings due to extravagant spending in anticipation of a promotion that never came. Take responsibility, he demanded. I countered, reminding him that the responsibility was his to bear, not mine. As security escorted him away, his future uncertain and filled with challenges, I felt a profound sense of closure. I had liberated myself from the toxic presence of someone like Carter. I soon resigned and began searching for new opportunities. Rumors swirled around Carter's departure from the company and his subsequent struggles. He moved into a modest apartment and faced financial difficulties, burdened with compensating for the damage he caused. Now settled into a new job not far from my old workplace, I found a fulfilling balance. Although I miss the camaraderie of my former colleagues, I have no regrets about my decisions. Life has moved on, and I am thriving in a stress-free environment, focused on my new role and the fresh start it represents.